Okay. All right. We set up here. All right. All right, y'all gonna get started here in a minute. I just need like 20 minutes or 30 minutes of your time because I said, look, we're just gonna go in here and do this prediction live because I've been thinking about this fight and watching a bunch of their fights leading up to this moment, and I said, man, let me see, like, how am I gonna do this? How am I gonna do this today, man? I didn't really feel like just sitting down and doing the keys to victory video, so I said, all right, let me see here. We're just going to get on live, and I'll just talk about the fight with y'all, and I'll give you my keys to victory here and just do it like a discussion this time. I mean, I want to give y'all my points, but I just kind of look at y'all's points as well in the comment section. But we'll get started here in a minute. Yeah, definitely got to talk about this fight, man. This is a big one. To me, this is a big fight. This is a major for the strawweight division. Ever since this fight was announced, I was like, look, I got to talk about this one here. I just been pushing the time, though. I've been pushing the time back, man. I was like, yo, time is coming, man. This fight's like 2 weeks away. Next thing you know, it's a week away. So yeah, let's jump on this prediction real quick. Check my sound. So yeah. Oh, there we go. Okay. Yeah, matter of fact, I just got done watching a few of Verna's fights, and I was like, man, like this is crazy. Like this is gonna be good. Like I can't really decide. Like it's one of the toughest predictions I've had in a while, man. Yeah, this is definitely one of the toughest predictions I had to. I don't know, man. This is a little bit tougher than Rose and it's a little bit tougher than Rose and Wei Lee. I don't know why, man. I was like, yo, like who who's really gonna be dominant with their styling here? All right, yeah, we're gonna get started here in a minute. Ernest Richardson, what's going on? Robert Henry, what's up, man? Ernest Richardson, I remember you brought it up earlier. I was like, look, I'm gonna get on live later. I just ain't say nothing because I said, look, I gotta go ahead and drop this prediction and talk about the fight with y'all for maybe like 30 minutes. I'll be on here like 25, 30 minutes tops. Like I said, yeah, man, classic judo versus BJJ showdown. Also, wrestler, uh Kanako Murata, she's a excellent wrestler. She's strong and she has that judo, she has jujitsu, she has a little bit of everything. So it's gonna be dangerous, He said start at 11:15. Yeah, we gonna start at the 5 minute mark here. Robert Henry must be doing something in the meantime. Robot Chickens, what's going on, man? Yeah, had to come on, man. We got to talk about this, man. I was like, yo, out of all the fights going down this weekend, this one I'm looking forward to. Um, Casey O'Neill and what's her name, Laura Procopio. Like, I'm gonna watch the fight, but I'm not as excited for it like this, man. I'm not as excited for it like this fight here. I've been talking about this one, and next thing you know, I looked at my watch and I was like, yo, I looked at my calendar and I was like, damn, it's time. I was like, this fight's this Saturday. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started, y'all. Welcome back to another live stream. Y'all know me, I'm Combo Breaker 99. But yeah, man, it's fight night in what 2 more nights. This is a big strawweight fight. I'm looking forward to. I know y'all looking forward to this one. Ernest Richardson, he brought it up to me earlier today because I know he ready. We got Verna Jandiroba versus Kanako Murata. And yeah, like Ernest said, man, this is a classic matchup. We got the judoka slash wrestler versus, you know, the BJJ specialist. But this jujitsu practitioner, you know, she's not just about the ground now. You know, Verna Jandiroba, she's also been adding the striking to her element. And, you know, you got Kanako Murata, who also has a striking element to her as well. You know, so this fight's going to have some different levels. Like, we don't know what's really going to happen. Honestly, we don't, because Kanako Murata, she can do a little bit of everything. Verna Jandiroba, she showed that in her last fight out. I know y'all felt the same way with Mackenzie Dern versus when Mackenzie Dern and Verna Jandiroba, they fought. We thought that was going to be a fight on the ground, right? We thought it was going to be a grapple fest, but no, they both chose to strike. You know, they both chose to strike in that fight. So I was like, yo, like, they're adding elements to their game, and that's what I like to see, man. I like to see some unpredictable fighters sometimes. You know, I don't want to see the same old thing, and that's why I'm like, I'm really confused with this fight here. Like, I'm trying to like decide who's gonna win this one, how it's gonna go. But anyways, y'all know how I do. I came up with some keys to victory for both fighters, and I'm gonna give you my prediction at the end. And, you know, towards the end of the video, y'all can give me y'all's as well, or y'all can post it right now if you want. You know, I'm kind of leaning towards mine right now on who I feel like is gonna win this fight. But let me start with I'm gonna start with Kanako Murata. I'm gonna start with her keys to victory, because I was watching some of Verna Jandaroba's fights, and I just seen some things that I think Kanako Murata could capitalize off of. And as I was watching some of her weaknesses, I was like, okay, a fighter like Kanako Murata, this could be her key to victory. You know, these could be her keys to victory for Kanako going in there with Verna Jandaroba. So let me see. First, let's look at the size difference here. Let's look at this tail of the tape. So Kanako, they list her at 5'1", 62-inch reach. You know, she's built. I mean, the girl's got guns too. She's a short, little wide, stacked fighter. You know, she has that muscle, and, you know, she's a wrestling champion, judoka, like I said. I think it was Marcus Bell said she was a brown belt, but they got her listed as a purple belt in BJJ. Everywhere I've been kind of researching Kanako, they have her listed as a purple belt. And you know, she's got a lot of energy. I've been looking at a lot of her fights. She's got a lot of energy. She's in and out, and she's kind of like, she's similar to Carla Esparza, the way she takes her approach, you know, for her takedowns, but I think she waits a little bit more. I'm gonna, you know, honestly say Carla Esparza is a little bit better with her, you know, as far as her ability to get in for the takedowns. You know, I think Carla uses more angles. She moves around, and she's much more unpredictable. Kanako, she can shoot straight in, and I think it can be kind of reckless sometimes, but it gets the job done. You know, it's been getting the job done. You know, she has quite a few finishes on her resume. But going into this fight with Verna Jandiroba, I think Morata, first off, I think she has to be the one to initiate takedowns. I'm going to say that first. I think Kanako Murata should take this fight to the ground early, and she should initiate those takedowns similar to how Carla Esparza did. You know, Carla Esparza, you know, physically strong wrestler, very tough. And the more and more I kept watching the Carla fight with Verna, I was like, okay, this is some of the stuff that Morata needs to do, because, you know, Verna Jandaroba, she's a little bit taller, got a 2-inch reach advantage, and in my opinion has the better striking as far as, you know, her in and out and her angles. You know, I think she's a little bit more committed to her jab. So I think that Morata needs to take the fight down early. You know, I was looking at her split decision win over Emily Ducote. You know, she was doing a lot of waiting, and she wasn't getting the takedown until like maybe like the last minute of the round, of each round. So I think in this fight, she has to initiate those takedowns. Don't wait for Verna to take her down. You know, go in there and take Verna to the ground early, and, you know, try to use her strength to out grapple, and, you know, just be dominant like Carla was. And she's got to use her timing and strength to do it. You know, she's got to be able to time the kicks from Verna and take her down. And, you know, she has to use that strength to control the hips. You know, if you get down to the ground like Carla was able to do, if you get in top position on Verna Jandiroba, she's going to go for the high guard to try to submit you early. So to me, I feel like she has to take to the half guard, and she's got to separate the legs, you know, separate the legs for her from her getting the guard, and getting her in a closed guard or getting a high guard. and she's got to really put the weight on the hips of Verna Jandiroba. And I think Kanako Murata has enough strength to really control from the top position, the side control here. And at the same time, she's got to work. She's got to control the head. Put your head in Verna Jandiroba's face. Put it in the chest, and you got to continue to work. You got to land some big elbows. Kanako Murata's got some power. I think she has power, especially in her ground and pound. So she's got to be very aggressive on top, but not reckless. You got to be able to pick your shots and just really control the hips of Verna Jandiroba. And yeah, I think that'll keep you safe from getting caught up in one of her submission attempts. Because if you don't separate her legs, if you don't separate and keep that, if you don't keep her pinned, Verna Jandiroba, she will make that maneuver, get to your back, or pull that guard up and get that arm bar. I've seen her do it so many times. So if Morata takes it to the ground, she's got to be able to initiate it, and she's got to really put her strength on top of on Verna Jandiroba, man. And if it stays standing, she has to use that dirty boxing. She got to use that dirty boxing in this fight, because one thing I noticed is, like, Emily Ducote was having a lot of success on Kanako Murata from a distance. She was waiting too much, stepping straight in, and she was getting pieced up a lot. Emily Ducote was actually switching from orthodox to southpaw to land her head kicks, and land her straight right hand. Like, she was switching stances on her. And in my opinion, man, I ain't gonna lie, man, I thought Emily Ducote won that fight against Morata. I just watched it again tonight. I was like, yo, after Morata won the first round, I think that Emily Ducote was really piecing her up. And the reason she was getting pieced up was because she was waiting a lot, and she was coming, she was darting straight in. So Emily Ducote was just putting the pressure on, and she was catching her with straight punches. So I think that Kanako Murata, she has to close that distance and, use her dirty boxing. She has to hold the head, and she has to clinch and use those knees inside the clinch to really get some good work in on Verna Jandiroba. If not, Verna's just going to, circle out and, pivot and use her jab. So, yeah, those are my keys to victory for Morata. I think she just needs to initiate the takedowns, use her strength on the ground. She's got to control the hips, use her head to control whenever she has Verna Jandiroba on the mat. And, she has to use her dirty boxing. She has to box and strike in close, not from the outside. Let me see. For Verna Jandiroba, I was just watching like a lot of her fights, man, and I was like, yo, this girl next to Mackenzie Dern, you can say she is a jiu-jitsu legend. I think she's just about up there with Dern, if not maybe a little bit over. She submitted fighters like Amanda Nunes and so on. She's just so fluid in her jiu-jitsu. It's like on another level. Like, just going back to look at some of her fights, I was like, I'm really impressed. I was just as impressed as I was with a lot of Mackenzie Dern's work, in these grappling tournaments. And as y'all know, Verna Jandiroba is a black belt in jiu-jitsu, but she also has that other element. Like I said, she has some judo, and she has some good stand-up. I mean, she came out of nowhere in her last couple fights, just utilizing her right hand. Even on Carla Esparza, she's very crafty now. She's starting to look a little bit more crafty on her feet. She's not as stiff as Mackenzie Dern. She seems to be a little bit more relaxed on her feet. So I think that's going to come into play in this fight. But let me check the comment section, what y'all talking about real quick. All right, so Robert Henry said Verna won that fight with Dern. Yeah, I agree. I felt Verna Jandiroba, she did enough to win that fight. Close, but I had her winning. I thought she was much more effective. Yeah, I was Stamina MC. What's going on, man? Gordon said, has Murata fought anyone with a Muay Thai Kung Fu background like Verna before? You mean like well, Emily Ducote has a pretty good stand-up game. She's a pretty good stand-up boxer, but Verna, she's a jiu-jitsu practitioner mostly. I don't think she's fought at this level. I think this is one of her best opponents. Her last level of opponent, I say, was really good and had the experience, was Emily Ducote. And I watched that Emily Ducote fight. I just watched it like half an hour ago. I feel like Emily Ducote did enough to win that fight. You know, that's how impressed I was with the work of Emily Ducote with her stand up. Mr. Lee, what's going on? Oh, he's robot said he wants to see that zombie fight in Ige. Yeah, okay, okay. But let's see, man. Jandaroba going into this fight here. I want to see her use some straight strikes in this fight. I want to just see her use the straight jab and straight right hand down the middle. Because again, Kanako Murata, you know, she's going to be in and out. And I think at a time, you know, she can be predictable. You know, I think she can be predictable a little bit. She's fast and she's strong, but she's really going to be coming straight in. So I think Verna Jandiroba, if she starts pumping the jab out early and starts, you know, using that jab and circling, it'll set up a good right hand. You know, she was able to set up and land some good right hands on Carla Esparza, and Carla moves around more. You know, Carla tends to move around more on her feet, and she's always trying to shoot in and look for openings. But Kanako, I think she can be a little bit more stationary. So if you're a fighter like Verna Jandiroba, who's much more comfortable with your jab, all I need to see her do is pump out straight strikes first off. You know, pump those straight strikes, and then just use angles. You know, use angles on her like she did against Mackenzie Dern. But you know, don't get pinned against the fence. You know, don't get set up by the overhand right. You got to set up your own overhand right, which is another key for her. I feel like I feel Verna Jandiroba is very. I think she doesn't commit enough to the power that she can that she can generate. I think if she comes forward with the overhand right more, you'll see some. I think you'll see her start to finish girls more if she lands the overhand right coming forward instead of backwards. You know, because she can land it. You know, she landed it on Carla quite a few times and Mackenzie Dern. So I need to see her, you know, land that overhand right, set it up behind jabs, and utilize it well against the southpaw that Kanako Murata is. You know, I think Murata, again, you know, within that southpaw stance, she keeps her hands down and she'll get tagged. You know, Emily Ducote was tagging her. So I'm just looking at some of these weaknesses they have in these fights. And I think once you put that together with the striking that Verna Jandiroba has, you know, that's one of the keys that she needs to utilize, you know. Um, so overhand rights. And last I'll say Verna needs to capitalize on weaknesses. You know, capitalize on weaknesses. Once you capitalize, well, let me say not weakness, but reckless moments. That's what I mean, because Kanako can kind of be reckless sometimes. So Vernon needs to capitalize on those reckless moments. You know, Kanako very reckless in that Emily Ducote fight. Reckless in this other fight I had watched. You know, one of her fights before she got into Invicta FC. It was like 2 or 3 fights I seen where she got a little reckless. She was able to come back and win these fights, but there were just so many moments where she got sloppy in the guard, and she would always get set up for an armbar. You know, Emily Ducote set her up for like 4 or 5 armbar attempts, you know, in their championship fight. So for somebody like Verna Jandiroba, you let her get in your guard and you get a high guard, boom, it's gonna be easy for her. So the minute she gets on you and takes you down and she's in your guard, you know, get her from out of that half guard, get her into a full guard, and boom, you get that high guard up, you could transition to an armbar quick, you know. So I think that's something she really has to look at. You know, Verna needs to go in there and capitalize off of those reckless moments. You know, even with her standing, you know, she's going to get caught because her hands are down. So you really have to just say, look, let me time her, let me set her up with this right hand. Boom, I can catch her. You know, I can catch her with something big. You know, so yeah, those are the keys of victory for Verna Jandiroba. I'd actually like to see her keep this fight standing the majority of the time. You know, keep it standing, and then whenever Kanako Murata initiates takedowns. And if she gets on her back, get ready to capitalize on that reckless moment I've been talking about. But let me see what y'all talking about here in the comment section. Gordon, both are grapplers. BJJ Judo. Morata has also wrestled, but Verna did Muay Thai and Kung Fu besides BJJ and Judo. Robot Chicken said somebody time out, Gordon. Did time him out. Okay, but okay, both are this and both are that. But I mean, Give me something though, man. Give me something though. I mean, you're not really saying much though. I mean, we got to break it down though. Who's better at what? I know both are grapplers, but the better grappler, the better jujitsu practitioner is Verna Jandiroba. So it's not about what both are doing. I mean, it's about who's the best at what, and who's the best and who's gonna be able to capitalize and you know take over and just say, look, let me expose this person's weakness. That's what's gonna be about in the actual fight. Yeah, do what Robert Henry just said right there. Make sure I hit the like button. So yeah, for Morata, let me see. Keys to victory. I say initiate takedowns, use her timing and her strength, control the hips and the legs, and use that head for control as well, and use that dirty boxing. For Verna Jandaroba, straight strikes, angles, set up the overhand right, and capitalize on those reckless moments of Kanako. But with that, let me see, man. Oh man, this is the part I've been waiting for. This is the part I've been dreading, actually, man. My prediction for this fight, man. I'm kind of thinking it might go similar to the Carlos Esparza versus Verna fight, but it's going to be a little bit more rough and rugged. I don't see it going the distance. I don't see this fight going 3 rounds. Um, but from what I've seen from both of these fighters, what I've seen from Verna Jandiroba in her past few fights and how she's been able to impress me, even in her loss against Mackenzie Dern, and just throughout her MMA career, even before the UFC, I think she has a little bit more to offer when it comes to making certain adjustments in fights. She can kind of make certain adjustments and just kind of throw her opponents off. Kanako Murata, I think she's a powerhouse, and it's her strength and her wrestling that usually can really just take these fighters down and just kind of break their will. But I really think that Verna Jandiroba going into this fight, I think she has the striking that's needed to keep Morata at bay. And I also think she has the IQ to capitalize on these reckless moments. Like Morata was good. Don't get me wrong. Kanako's good. She's good. There's still some things I need to see her grow in. Uh, she's one of those fighters I feel like is going to have to take a couple of L's to really evolve as a fighter. And if I had to pick, in this fight, let me see. Like I'm playing out scenarios in my head and just playing out some of the weaknesses that I've seen from both fighters. If it goes to the ground and Kanako gets in that guard of Verna Jandiroba, I think I'm going to go with Verna Jandiroba by submission in the second round in this fight. Yeah. But if Verna doesn't finish her, I think if it goes to the cards, it might be a controversial decision going Murata's way. Really, I do. I think it might be a controversial decision going Murata's way if Verna doesn't get the finish. And I think Verna's going to be looking for the finish. I think she's going to use her striking. But when she gets taken down, I think she will be the one to initiate. And I think she would be the one to counter and use that recklessness of Kanako, and she will get that submission in this fight. Yeah, yeah, because when I compare the wrestling of Kanaka and Carla's a little bit smarter with hers. I think Carla's a little bit smarter, and she's always active on the ground, and she's always very controlling. Of the whole body of her opponent when she's on the ground. That's how she was able to stop Yan Zhana. But I still think that Kanako leaves some openings there. For a guard to for her opponent to get that high guard and submit her. So I'm gonna go with Verna Jandiroba in this fight by submission. Tough call, very tough call. Somebody's getting finished in this fight. It's not going 3 rounds. I'll tell you that though. I mean, what do y'all think? Y'all tell me. Gordon said, just curious, has Murata dealt with the tie clinch, for example? You're the expert. You tell me what it may mean. Has she dealt with the tie clinch? I don't really see I don't see Verna Jandiroba using tie clinches in this fight, really, because if she tried a tie clinch on Kanaka, I think Kanaka would just take her down. Like she doesn't really utilize a lot of that stuff in her fights. Are you thinking of the right fighter though? Are you thinking of Verna Jandiroba? Have you seen her fight? But yeah, that's who I'm gonna go with. That's who I'm gonna go with in this one. I'm picking Verna Jandiroba by second round submission. Somebody's getting finished though, but that's what I have to go with in this fight. Let me know what y'all think though. I'm about to get off here in like another 5 minutes. Yeah, Gordon, she's taller, but I wouldn't say she's stronger though. I think that Kanako's more. I think she's physically stronger. I would have to go with her being stronger. I know she's taller, but that's difference. But uh, and she doesn't really. To me, she's never really utilized her Muay Thai as much. In MMA, like she hasn't really mixed it in well. Like you don't really see her in that type of Thai stance. Um, she didn't utilize it on she hasn't utilized it on a lot of her fights. Like a lot of her fights, like Carla Esparza, Felice Herrig, just even going back to Invicta. She's always been taking fighters down. Mm. But let's see some fights you need to really check out here. I don't know if y'all saw the Emily Ducote fight with Kanako. You definitely need to see that fight though. That'll kind of tell you what she might be in store for. All right, hold on. Yeah, let me know who y'all got before I get off of here. Robert Henry said the fight's 50-50 because of her BJJ, I'm rooting for Verna. Yeah, there's a lot of good things I see in Morata, but um, there's something about Jandaroba. I think she can capitalize off some reckless moments in here, for real. And I didn't know that she did kung fu. I heard she did well, yeah, I heard she did kung fu. I didn't know she did Muay Thai though that much. And she did that as a kid, but her main go-to has always been Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and judo. So that's why you don't really see her take them Thai stances too much. You don't really see her take that Muay Thai stance in these fights. Like she doesn't even utilize the Thai clinch in most of her fights. Like I said, so I'm not really like betting on seeing her use that in this fight against Kanako, and it might not benefit her because the minute she throws some of them knees, Murata is going to catch him and take her down. That's how I feel. Gordon said when the shorter fighter charges in on the taller fighter, often the taller fighter uses the tie clinch with his knees, like Ali grabbing Frazier behind the head all night long. Yeah, except he wasn't using knees. So, Ali's not gonna, Ali's not gonna be able to land any knees. So he's just gonna kind of rest on him, right? You're just gonna rest on him because that's all you can do until the referee breaks you. In the taller fighter, like I said, it's all about that head control. Like you get that tie clinch, if you're dealing with like a fast, strong fighter, they will telegraph. If you telegraph the knees, they will grab one and take you down. But yeah, y'all, I'm about to get up out of here. Like I said, just want to drop this one live, get it out the way, because I couldn't decide, man. I kept deciding throughout the week. I said it's gonna be tough, but that's what I'm gonna go with. I'm leaning towards Verna in this fight, but don't be surprised though, like if they try to take the decision from her if it goes the distance. But I really don't see this fight going the distance. But yeah, y'all, since I don't know if y'all put y'all's predictions. Anyways, y'all can just put them in the comment section. I'm about to get up out of here. Make sure y'all subscribe. We'll talk after the fight. Combo Breaker 99. I am out. Peace.